Hello everyone, this is Dawn over at Plot Chronicles. Before starting on today's video, I ended yesterday's video with telling you that I met somebody that is a mystery thriller writer. Not someone I've heard of, but he went to a writer's conference and he got to meet a bunch of authors. I wish I could have sat and talked to him, but I was at work. I pass out samples at Target and I can't have these big, long, deep discussions at my demo table. But he just briefly told me there were no other customers, but he got to meet and he said he was the nicest person. Harlan Coben. Have any of you ever read any of his books? He writes mystery thrillers. I did read The Stranger, and I think I read one of his other books, and The Stranger is also a Netflix series. So The Stranger is a really good book. I haven't read very many of his books yet. It's just so many books, you know what I mean? There's so many great books if we only had more hours in a day. Okay, so let me know if any of you, wouldn't it be great to go and meet a bunch of authors? What authors would y'all love to meet? Of course, there's so many I would love to meet. I would love to meet Frida McFadden, Daniel Hurst, and then I'd love to meet Kristen Hanna. I'd love to meet all of them. You know, I'd be happy to meet any author, actually. I felt like I was meeting a famous author. Now, I hadn't heard of this guy, the customer. I hadn't heard of him, but I did write down his name. I'm going to look him up. But anyway, I wanted to tell you about this author. I've only read 2 of her books, and she is not for the faint at heart. But I like an easier read, but sometimes I like things that are kind of deep. This person is Dr. Lucinda Berry. She is a former, I guess, clinical psychologist. I think it is. She was a psychologist, okay? And so maybe it was a child psychologist. But anyway, she's very knowledgeable. So she has a background in this. She's an actual doctor. Anyway, she wrote a book called Missing Parts, okay? And basically, it is about a lady, and I won't give any spoilers, whose name is Celeste. Celeste grew up with a mom and dad and a sister. They thought they had a really happy family, and dad just left. And the mom is torn apart having to raise these girls, single mom. So Celeste kept saying, you know, I've got to be strong. I've got to be strong. And, you know, always kind of did whatever she could to protect her family. You know, she would shove her feelings down in order to take care of everybody. Okay, so that kind of lets you know a little bit about it. The thing I like about some of these authors, especially Dr. Lucinda Berry, one of the things I love about her is she really goes deep into the character. Now, somebody that wants to read a light read, it wouldn't be, she might not be for you, but I love her. But anyway, this lady, her name is Celeste. She's married, thinks she's happily married, and has a daughter, okay? Well, a bunch of secrets come to pass because Celeste kept some things to herself to protect her family, okay? To protect her immediate family, but those secrets come out. I will say this, and I don't think this is a spoiler. Her daughter becomes ill, okay, and has to go to the hospital, and they have to have some tests run, okay? And that's kind of where the secrets come out and the story unravels, and you get to know all of the characters. And, you know, it's amazing. Sometimes, have you guys ever read a book where you just don't like a lot of the characters? That's kind of the way this book was. There's a lot of characters I just didn't really like who they were as people, if that makes sense. But I really, if you like something that goes kind of deep, and like I said, her books are not for the faint at heart. I do find her really interesting and engaging. What I like about her is, I don't know, you know, a lot of times when you read these books, like these thrillers, okay? Books like that. What I like about her is, yes, she has a thriller aspect in there, but it's really a deep analysis and character development. You get to know the characters. So it's so much more than a thriller, okay? And I like her books because I don't know anybody else that writes books like her. A lot of times when you read these thrillers, or domestic thrillers, psychological thrillers, or anything, or even historical fiction, after a while, kind of like movies, there seems to be repetitive type of storylines. With her, you don't have that. There's nobody else there doing her stuff. No one else is copying what she's doing. So if you think you like something that's a little bit deeper, I highly recommend reading her books. I did like Saving Noah a little bit better than Missing Parts, but I really got to know the character of Celeste. I feel like I knew her, and I got to know what she was all about, and I enjoyed seeing what she turned out like at the end of the book after she went through everything that she went through in this story. I got to see her develop into the person I think she wants to be, if that makes sense. Anyway, have any of you read any of Lucinda Berry's books? Let me know in the comments below. Love you, appreciate you, and hope to see you on the next video. Bye, everybody.